Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Breakfast with Bridgett. I'm your host, Bridgett Ellison, live here on News 6 Plus and clickorlando.com. So glad you can be with us on this Monday, July 1st. Here we are in July, and you know what's coming up this week, the 4th of July. So we're looking forward to all of that. We're going to fireworks at the fountain. We're hitting the road with News 6. Want to see you there. And you know, it's the safest place to watch the fireworks, considering when you try to DIY fireworks, it gets really dangerous. So that's why we're talking to Orlando Fire Department this morning live about all those best practices. If you just really want to try to do your own fireworks, you know, maybe you're a little bit into the pyrotechnics and you know, you just look forward to this time of year. I get it, but we want to be safe too and keep everybody safe. So we'll talk to the pros who know about the good, the bad, and the ugly coming up in a few minutes. But first, getting you out the door, and a lot of people talking about the tropics. Meteorologist Candace Campos in the Pinpoint Weather Center. And this is when all the plates are starting to spin, Candace.
And so quickly, right, Bridgett? Like it ramped up from a tropical storm. I mean, this storm was a rapid intensification textbook storm where you blinked and it kept cranking up the speed. It was a category 4 at one point yesterday. It's gone through, or it's currently going through, an eye wall replacement. And the best way I can explain that is basically a storm can't maintain a crazy speed. At one point, it almost over-rotates itself. And the eye kind of falls apart a little bit. People get excited because they think, oh, it's weakened. And although it weakens for a little bit, when it gets its eye again, it strengthens even stronger. So it's all dependent on the timing. Sometimes an eye wall replacement right before landfall is great because it kind of weakens it up a bit. But we're still looking at it potentially.
Oh, and you said that there's that indication of just how strong this is so early is also something that we look at.
It's certainly a sign of the times. Like, you know, when we first saw each other this morning, you're like, Candace, how am I supposed to feel about this system?
Because I want to watch my tone, you know, with every storm that comes
It's
up.
true.
You know?
It's true. And listen, at the end of the day, like, we see major hurricanes in the Atlantic. We see them roll off the coast of Africa. That's normal. Not in June though. And I'll show you the record stats. Hold on, let me reset. Hold on. Let me show you what we're talking about here. Okay. All right. Let's take links 1 and let me show you what we're talking about. So we're watching 3 different areas. We have Tropical Storm Chris that's there in moving onshore already in Mexico. Not a big crazy headlining story, but it's the same area that just dealt with Alberto. So already it's waterlogged. They've had tons of rain already, and this is just going to add insult to injury. Then we have Hurricane Beryl. Now this system is packing a punch, and it has been all weekend long. And then just on the heels of Beryl, we have another system, a tropical wave, an area of low pressure that has a 70% chance of development. That could get a name later on this week. If it does, the next name on the list will be Debbie. So let's talk about Hurricane Beryl real quick. It is the easternmost hurricane to ever develop in June. Okay, so again, we tend to see systems develop in the Gulf of Mexico, off the coast of Florida, off the eastern seaboard. That's a typical June setup, not these Cabo Verde island storms that are coming in hot from the Atlantic. Then it was also the strongest June hurricane on record because this developed again over the weekend in June. The last time was Audrey in 1957. But not only was it the strongest, it was also the earliest Category 4 storm we've seen on record. The last one was Hurricane Dennis, and that was July 8th. So we're ahead of schedule for even records. So that's when I tell you that this is not, you know, just a storm, it's a sign of the times, and it's a sign of what this season has to offer. And it's not good because when you start talking about a storm developing like this in June and it has the looks of an August-September storm, what is it going to look like in August and September?
I thought Saharan dust would help us out a little bit.
The Saharan dust is just to the north. So this was riding kind of that southern fringe of that plume of dust. So that's the hard part about Saharan dust. You know, it's great when it's great and it's useless when it's useless, right? Like, and that's the way it goes. So here's the latest update. Hurricane Beryl. We have hurricane
Mm,
hunters right now in the storm investigating it. But you see how we started the frame at 5:30 with no eye, and then when the last 2 hours, look who opened its eye again.
mm-hmm.
That's an eye wall replacement. It went from an eye to no eye to an eye in just a few hours. And that shows that I have a feeling that if
Wow.
we get an update in the next couple of hours before the 8 o'clock update should be coming out, I wouldn't be surprised if they crank this back up to category 4, to be honest with you. But right now, sustained winds as of the 5 a.m. advisory is 120 miles per hour. There's obviously hurricane watches and warnings issued up and down the Windward Islands, as this will be a major hurricane on the first day of July for the Caribbean residents there. Still looking at this system continuing to stay as a category 3 or stronger storm through Tuesday. Then it runs into some shearing, some more hostile conditions, and then starts to weaken into a category 1 or 2 storm by the end of the
Mm-hmm.
week as it approaches the Yucatan Peninsula. Could this be another tropical system for Mexico? Possibly. That would be the third time. So they dealt with Alberto. They're dealing with Chris right now, and potentially by next weekend, could they be dealing with either the remnants or a tropical system of Beryl? Then we're also talking about that tropical system just on the wake of Beryl. This system, look how far east these are developing and how strong they're developing. This one also looking to take a relatively similar track as Beryl into the Caribbean, but you can tell that the models span out a little wider once it crosses over the Windward Islands. So this stop in the clock, we're looking at possibly another system in the Caribbean by this weekend as well. We will be watching that. In the meantime, we have a big upper level ridge that's going to keep things very hot and still unsettled. So it's still going to be feeling very summer like for the first week of June as we head into the 4th of July, Bridget. Scattered
Mm-hmm.
showers today, for instance, will develop right along along 75, colliding. Looks like the collision zone once again today will be along I-4 and areas to the west, and lingering late into the night as well. 9-10 o'clock, we will still be dealing with some rocking thunderstorms. Meteorologist Jonathan Kegas will also be kind of pinpointing that. Coastline, though, your rain chances drop off a bit compared to our folks further inland. So today, more of an inland focus. The coastline today, your rain chances not extremely high at about a 30 to 40%. So as we take you here hour by hour, 94 will be your high. Rain chances at 60, but I do want to show you that high. It's going to be very, very hot as we head into 4th of July and into the weekend because of this high. But while this high is keeping us hot, it's also going to be shifting and holding Beryl and possibly tropical storm, or could be Debbie, keeping it south into the Caribbean. So while we are dealing with the heat, at least we're not dealing with the tropical concerns that many folks in and around the Caribbean are going to be dealing with. So
Mm-hmm.
with that being said, no tropical concerns for us here in Central Florida, but let Beryl be a lesson to us that this is going to be a very unusual and very active season. Whether it's active for us or active
Mm-hmm.
in the tropics just in general, it's one of those things you really need to keep an eye on, really keep up to date, because look how
Mm-hmm.
fast Beryl developed in just a short amount of time.
All right. We got to gear up. All right. Thank you, Candace.
You're welcome.
All right. We want to check in with Trooper Steve and get a check on the traffic. Things were looking pretty good at the end of the morning news. Oh, and he is out in results one. There you are. Good morning.
My hi.
Happy Monday.
Oh, it's Monday for real, Bridget. Like my brain, I'm here. I'm
You're in
ready,
the
but
back of the
my body,
station. I see that you haven't
yeah, I'm
rolled. You didn't
parked.
roll out
It's
yet.
close. We're doing a close stream today. Part of I like to tag team whenever News 6 does WKMG hits the road.
Mm-hmm.
So I will be kind of following suit on that topic. So today we're going to be in downtown Orlando at Colonial and 408. So the construction out there is pretty much wrapped up. We've tackled some things out there with the crazy lanes, but today the question is all about what the heck are these blue lights that sit on top of the traffic lights. So some people may be wanting that answer right now, but they're going to have to watch at 8:30 over at clickorlando.com, and they can ride with me today, and we'll talk about those lights. We'll check out that intersection, and we'll break that down. Those lights are kind of everywhere, and I'll give you some reasons as to why those lights are there. And then Bridgett, real quick, make sure if you're watching this Breakfast with Bridgett and you're curious what these new flex lanes are, last Friday, one of the best streams we have done, collaborating with graphics and Central Florida Expressway Authority. Really good stream. People are going to want to check that one out as well.
Awesome. Good to know. All right. Well, we'll see you a
Yes.
little bit later out there.
All right. Talk to you guys later.
All right. Thanks. So some new laws are taking effect today. There were several that were signed by the governor. July 1st, it's a day when these officially go into effect. We've been reporting on these, and so there are more than 100 new laws, and they range from how long teens can work to rules about heat protections, bears, separated parents, and how they exchange their children for childcare. So News 6's Mark Lehman has more on some of the more need-to-know ones.
A lot of changes are happening across Florida as 181 new laws are now in effect. One of the most debated is a measure that gives 16 and 17-year-olds a choice to work up to 40 hours a week instead of a 30-hour restriction when school is in session.
This bill is about choice and opportunity for families.
To blanketly put this out there so that our children can be exploited is beyond my mind.
Another law affecting kids is centered around lessons in the classroom. Starting in 2026, the history of communism must be taught as early as kindergarten.
We're going to tell the truth about communism in the state of Florida. We're going to tell the truth about the evils of communism.
Governor DeSantis also signed a law preventing local governments from making their own rules on heat protections for workers. Supporters say it will prevent a patchwork of regulations, and employers already face requirements on the issue. And staying outside, Floridians may now stand their ground against bears. A new law allows someone to kill a bear if they believe themselves, someone else, or their pet is in danger.
Much like we have self-defense abilities, if there was a person that broke into our house, we should have those same abilities if a bear comes into your home.
Very interesting. Good to know. Good information to know. And there are many more. So if you want to check out the full information, go to clickorlando.com and click on that story. Also, the July tax holiday. This is an interesting one. And I kind of wish I had known about this one before I made a few purchases last week. I should have held off a little bit longer because today is the first day of Freedom Month. And this tax holiday will allow you to go shopping and avoid paying taxes on lots of items, even activities like concerts and events. So some items include canoes, fishing gear, tickets to ball games, concerts. The holiday runs through the end of the month, July 31st rather. So today through July 31st, a full list of what's covered and what's not is under this story at clickorlando.com. So check it out before you make those purchases. You could save some big bucks. Now we want to get over to safety. We were talking about fireworks safety at the top of the stream, and Thursday is 4th of July. And then you know what happens with that. Fireworks, lots of fireworks on that day, sometimes the day before, the days leading after that. But we have Orlando Fire Department's Assistant Chief Aaron Rhodes with us live this morning to talk all about it. Good morning.
Good morning, Bridgett. How are you doing?
I'm all right. I was talking to you when we were getting our mic checks and everything this morning about how many people love to do the DIY fireworks. I mean, there is an attraction to fire, even though it's your business to put it out.
Yes. And listen, we were just talking about it. So tropical depressions and tropical disturbances all over the place, daylight hours until it's bedtime, 90-degree weather before 10 o'clock in the morning, and afternoon thunderstorms. It's definitely summertime in the state of Florida, and nothing says peak time summer activities like the 4th of July. So we know that, thankfully it's going to be a busy week for us, enjoying ourselves. And we just want to try to offer a few safety reminders to make sure that we can do it and participate in the festivities in a safe manner.
And when it comes to the fire safety element, there's that environmental factor we're dealing with right now because, like you said, even though we're getting the storms, Lots of places are really dry. We have lots of storms with lightning in them that can spark fires as well, which, that's a natural occurrence. But when it comes to the fireworks, that's something that could start a fire as well as end up hurting us or our loved ones or damaging
Yeah,
property.
so absolutely. So one of the first things, we tell everybody is, so there's a couple of key factors to remember. That one, almost 3/4 of the incidents involving fireworks occur on the 4th of July, and that doesn't include the days leading up to or the days going from there. Oftentimes, they do involve children. About 36% nationally involve kids underneath the age of 15 years old. So we want to make sure that our kids stay at a safe distance, and we want to make sure that we start using them. And when we do go to use them, that we're in an open in an area that doesn't have any flammable material around it. And that's those wooded areas. Like you said, thankfully, it has been raining here lately. It was just a few weeks ago that we were talking about our drought index a lot more. But the state of Florida has a lot of material, a lot of vegetation that looks a lot of times like it's moist on top, but just a few inches underneath the surface, it can still be very dry.
And I see the video here, which is like, sort of like the PSA type videos. And, we make fun of it just like with the overflowing turkey pot every Thanksgiving. But it is such serious business because it's just those little mistakes, or you think you're having fun and then someone ends up in the emergency room with a life-changing injury.
So again, we reached out to our partners over at Orlando Health, and obviously they're our level 1 trauma center for the region. So they see a lot of these patients every year. In fact, obviously, and along with national concerns, it's the highest ranking day for them, followed by New Year's Eve. And again, the other thing that we can say is avoid alcohol use when you start to participate in fireworks and lighting your own fireworks. Alcohol impairment is going to cause us to make those decisions that don't necessarily fall in line with the best of safety practices. So if you're going to enjoy some alcoholic beverages on the 4th of July, then just sit back in your lawn chair and let the professionals and do what they need to do in order to be able to participate in 4th of July.
And, you showed the mannequins of the kids and talked about how we want to keep them away from it. In general, like, how do you advise people on working with making sure your children understand the dangers so that they don't get into playing with a lighter or playing with fireworks? What are some of the good tips for that?
Conversations start early, and we even say, even the sparklers can burn at up over 2,000 degrees, which is certainly hot enough to cause some significant burns. Those are the things that we want to try to have our conversations way before we even have our day of fun outside. Letting them know, their kids are smart. We don't give them the credit a lot of times that they should probably get. And if you let them know up front what they can and can't do, then oftentimes they'll abide by that. These things are inherently dangerous, and while it's supposed to be a festive day and help us ring in the birthday of our, the independence of our country. But if one wrong move and we can wind up, down there at the hospital, and that's what we're trying to avoid.
So what should we do if, say, something does happen and there's, an unexpected fire or something goes wrong? Like, what should be some of the first steps depending on what's happened?
So first, we never hold fireworks in our hands or near our face. That's 36% of the injuries are involving hands and face. So never hold the firework and try to contain it. That's kind of one of the issues with any firework is the stronger it's contained, the more powerful it is. So even inside your hand, just holding it, that grip strength will actually increase the power of that firework going off, which is where a lot of these injuries come from. So we always light on the ground, and again, away from anything that could be flammable. Keep your garden hose and a bucket of water nearby. A 5-gallon bucket works great. One from one of your local hardware stores. Fill it up with water. And when the fireworks are done, or if there's a malfunction one, you soak it for a very long time, way past what you think would be normal. We see a lot of dumpster fires and garbage can fires and things like that following the activities of 4th of July. So those are the things that we can do to help avoid those fires from occurring later on in the evening.
And when it comes to like where to set them off, a lot of times neighbors, pets, there's lots of things that come into play with sort of picking a somewhat good location if you're going to do this.
Yeah, and that's another great point, and a lot of times we go to the roadways. So The problem with that is a lot of times we can't control traffic, and obviously, if we start lighting off fireworks on an open roadway with active traffic, now we're creating a whole nother level of hazards that we probably don't want to deal with. So, large open areas, parking lots, if you have permission to be there, neighborhood cul-de-sacs, areas like that that are far and away from all flammable materials, cars, houses, and wooded areas that we can avoid. The further away we can get, the better off we are. But be careful. We oftentimes see them wind up in the middle of the street, and that's just adding another hazard to the roadway.
For sure, for sure. So you have some awareness campaigns happening too to sort of just remind people this week about those things that they should keep in mind.
Yes, we'll have a couple of public safety announcements coming out on our Facebook page and other social media. And as always, we want to encourage everybody to enjoy the day to the fullest. And on July 4th, it will be our 47th annual fireworks at the fountain. I'll be there all day. So activities go from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. They're going to set the fireworks off around 9:15. The professionals will handle that, so we're able to sit back and enjoy the great food and activities and bring in our country's independence and style.
Awesome, awesome. So where could we go to get some more information or just those reminders that we went over this morning?
City of Orlando Fire Department Facebook page or Instagram.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Assistant Chief Rhodes, thanks for being with us this morning, and hopefully everyone will have a safe and happy 4th of July. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. And we mentioned fireworks at the fountain, like the chief said, 47th. So you want to get out there and enjoy that show. It's a huge show. The music to go with it is just amazing. And if you can't make it out there, or maybe crowds aren't your thing, you can watch it online. And then you get all the best views in the house because we usually have several different camera angles for you to watch it. And that's going to be Thursday night, July 4th on clickorlando.com. You can also stream it right here on News 6 Plus. So we hope you'll join us. Now we want to get to Ezzy Castro. She has the latest on some safety changes that are underway right now in Volusia County at Sugar Mill Elementary School. We've been following this story where sadly a 10-year-old little girl died after a traffic crash out there. She was riding her bike and unfortunately was hit and killed. And so now the school, the community working together to try to get some safety changes in place. And so they have some speed humps out there, but they're also working on some other things. Here's Ezzy.
Major safety changes are underway at Sugar Mill Elementary following the death of 10-year-old Shawalan Kamali. She was the 4th grader who was riding her bike to school on May 24th and was hit by a car while on a crosswalk. The district approved additional speed bumps in the parent loop, which were installed last week.
As far as Volusia County Schools, we're doing an engineering study, a traffic engineering study. It has 2 phases. The first phase is a LiDAR scan, and then the second phase is a site survey. And then the second phase is where they actually do an observation. So that's more of a longer-term project because...
These photos also show crews with Florida Power and Light preparing the area for a new right-hand turn lane for cars going into the school. Here's a diagram of what it will look like. The district says it will also remove trees around the campus to increase visibility for drivers.
Turn lane will be added outside of the school, which was voted on tonight. That allows us to stack 11 to 14 vehicles in the turn lane, which gets more cars off of the streets.
School leaders say the goal is to have all of this done before the new school year begins next month.
So we'll keep you updated on the progress there with those safety improvements. Now the latest on the Takata airbag recall. This has been an ongoing story, and Mike Holfeld has the latest on the numbers with Carfax, and these results may surprise you.
When it comes to vehicle safety, Takata airbags have motorists across the country at potential risk.
These aren't junked or salvage cars. These are cars still in operation, still need replacement airbags.
According to a Carfax survey, an estimated 6.4 million vehicles still have the flawed devices 10 years after the original recall.
Consumers who get a recall notice, they put it down and they wait weeks or they wait months, And at some point, they're like, well, nothing's happened to me. I must be in the clear. And unfortunately, nothing could be further from the truth.
Carfax editor-in-chief Patrick Olson tells News 6 extended exposure to heat and humidity can cause Takata airbag inflators to deploy with far more explosive impact than intended. Experts tell us the key is the moisture interacting with an unstable chemical, ammonium nitrate, in the airbag inflators. Florida's weather provides a high-risk setting, especially in July and August.
There are more than 300,000 in Florida and 56,000 just in the Orlando area. That means there's a lot of people driving around you who have these unfixed cars.
In 2014, the parts were in short supply. But in 2024, Olson says most dealerships are ready to handle the demand.
And it will not cost you a dime.
Mike Holfeld, Getting Results, News 6.
And that's going to do it for us this morning on Breakfast with Bridgett. Weather-wise, with meteorologist Jonathan Kegis is up next with lots more on what's happening in the tropics, of course. And then 8:30 on Patrol with Trooper Steve. And we hope that you'll join us for News 6 at noon coming up today. I'll see you then, and I'll see you back here at 7:30 for more breakfast tomorrow. Take care.